On this episode, we sit down with Friso, Greg, and Kerv from Bangkok Community Help.
So if you want to learn more about charity in Bangkok and this organization's fantastic work in Khlong Toey, you'll dig this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krab, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 on a journey to find myself. And I gotta say, I was so disappointed when I did, I figured I must have found the wrong one, so I'm still looking.
All right, and I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 20 years ago. Fell in love with nodding in apparent comprehension when people speak Thai to me, even though I have no idea what they're saying. So I never left.
So in this case, you're saying that context is what you understand, not the linguistic skills of...
I mean, it's funny because I feel like context is all I got. Like, like sometimes my Thai seems like it's good, but it's just because I know I'm sitting in taxi and there's only like three things the guy could say.
Yeah, right. So I do the same thing. Like I order a hamburger and she asks me something and I'm like, she's not asking me what I did today. She's probably asking me how I like it cooked. So
that's right.
medium. I figure that's a good answer.
Context matters.
That's right. Sure. That's right.
All right. We want to say a quick thank you to one of our patrons, Jason Shua. Sorry, Jason, if I mispronounced your name, but I'm going to go with that. Who supports us at the show shadow level. Stick around after our interview with the guys from Bangkok Community Help to hear why Jason's upcoming move to Thailand will either end in him getting fat or Greg getting fit.
Yeah, baby.
We want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a whole bunch of cool stuff, including our ad-free regular show a day early, behind-the-scenes photos and videos of our interviews, discounts on swag, which you can find on our website, and various other things that aren't available to regular listeners. But best of all, patrons like Jason also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and random topics. We just finished recording this week's bonus show, and we chatted about the ongoing Phuket sandbox and its sibling in Koh Samui, Greg's failed effort to get some Venus flytrap seeds to germinate, and discussions on a few cool apps we're using to help us beat the boredom in lockdown. To become a patron, head to bangkokpodcast.com/support.
Yeah, spoiler alert and a pro tip. If you want to get your plants to grow, I do not recommend squirting them with water from a bottle that used to hold industrial strength cleaning solvent.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
All right. Well, on this episode, we are very happy to welcome the folks from Bangkok Community Help, an organization dedicated to helping the people of the Khlong Toey slum by organizing food donations, medical assistance, sanitation services, and other vital initiatives. As you may know, Khlong Toey is the largest slum community in Bangkok and has been hit particularly hard by COVID, affecting many of the blue-collar workers that the city relies on to function, even as a large portion of Bangkok is in lockdown. But there's more to Khlong Toey than it simply being a quote-unquote slum, and we talk about its history, its identity, its growth over the years, and what the future looks like for this huge community that much of Bangkok's inhabitants rely on, even if they don't know it. So here is my very cool conversation with Friso, Greg, and Kerv about their work with Bangkok Community Help. All right, well, we are psyched to be sitting down here with the fellows from the Bangkok Community Help Foundation, and my memory is ravaged by age, so I don't remember all the full names and pronunciations and details and titles, so I'm going to go around the table and ask you to introduce yourselves. But guys, welcome, and thanks for coming on the show. And let's start down here with Friso.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having us. Friso from the Netherlands, and been in Thailand for almost 10 years now.
Hi, I'm Greg from the United States. I've been in Thailand now over 20 years.
All right.
Hi, and I'm Kerv. I'm Thai. Yeah, I went to school in the UK, and now I'm back.
So you win the Lengthen Thailand Award around this table.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's great that you guys were able to come on the show. And I think, Friso, you reached out to me and asked if we could sit down and
Yes.
chat. And I've been seeing your name around a lot lately. You've been doing a lot of good work and have got some really good press. And especially right now, I mean, this is sort of either the best or the worst time to be in your business, which is helping people, because a lot of people need help right now. It really depends on your perspective, whether that's the best time or the worst time. I don't know. But you seem to have caught the, the zeitgeist. You seem to be, whatever it is, you're doing it right because you're helping a lot of people.
Yes.
And a lot of people are reacting very well. So what I want to do is just quickly give me an overview of what you guys are doing. And then maybe we'll get into some more details about the Khlong Toey community. And then we'll just take it from there. So can you give me a quick overview of what's going on?
Yeah, so exactly like you said, I mean, our mission is to help as many people as possible during sort of the COVID pandemic and beyond that. So that's how it started. COVID really sort of kicked off our efforts because very early on, when COVID sort of arrived in Thailand, we realized, okay, a lot of people will have a lot of problems because of this. They will lose their job. They will, obviously might get infected and all these things. The economy will be bad. So we immediately decided, okay, let's step in, which was just, a group of a few people. And obviously, as the time sort of progressed and as COVID became more severe and as the economy more and more started to slow down, our efforts increased. So at the moment of recording, we're on day 73 of our nonstop efforts. To help as many people as possible. And we do this in Khlong Toey. We do this also a little bit beyond in Watana as well. In the end, we're Bangkok Community Help, so we want to help people in Bangkok wherever they are. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, just responding to all the problems that arise every day, pretty much.
And why Khlong Toey? There's a lot of areas in Bangkok that could probably, there maybe not be as big or famous of slum areas, but there's a lot of areas. What drew you to Khlong Toey?
For us, that's actually where we sort of started. I mean, obviously we live in Khlong Toey as well, so it's our neighborhood, our area. As soon as we went in there and started to help, we just realized, like, wow, what a huge amount of people that definitely need some form of help. Might it be in hand-to-mouth feeding people, literally, or, developing like more longer-term projects. I mean, building houses, educating children, educating adults on certain, skills in life. So, we definitely found that Khlong Toey has a lot that there's a lot to do there. So, that's we kind of grew into those communities, and we love the people there, we love the communities, and we're very devoted to develop these.
How did you guys meet?
So Khlong Toey is actually the largest slum in Thailand. It's 100,000 people that are registered and around 40,000 unregistered. So in a very small area, you have a very high density. So we've actually known each other, Friso and I, for probably almost 10 years. Yeah. And so he reached out back in March of 2020, right when the first wave started. And if you remember back then, it was a whole different story than when we hardly had, 30 cases. And
I could barely remember what it was like back then.
and so we used one of my kitchens, and the rest is history. We saw the need. We saw the people running to us when we were serving meals. And, when it died down after May, then we started going into where we saw other things that we could do, such as education of the kids on Saturdays. We have 83 international teachers that teach the kids. We were involved with basketball during the week. But the most important thing was taking garbage dumps and turning them into community parks, or taking a garbage dump and building a house. And so that was a really fun effort up to December 2020 last year, when now this last wave really hit and really changed everything. So the last 70 days have been focused on totally feeding people.
Interesting. And Kerv, how did you get involved?
Basically, about a year ago, I met Greg and Friso in a community in Khlong Toey as well, and my mom is like the head. She looks after Khlong Toey and Watana district, and she knows a lot of community leaders and stuff, and that's when we started working together. If you remember, like about a year ago, when the lockdown started. And even now, like when the lockdown happens again, people, especially in Khlong Toey, they kind of, a lot of them lost their jobs and lost their incomes because they aren't able to like sell sell foods on the streets, and there are less tourists and stuff. So one of the things I want to tell you is slum Khlong Toey consists of all sorts of labor. Whether it's like people working in restaurants, hotels, security guards, people working at department stores.
Right.
So all sort of industries, and they're all like affected by COVID very much. So first, Greg and I, we started working together, like Greg said, in several projects to help improve the community. One of the problems with slum Khlong Toey is that the government or Bangkok Metropolitan Council, we can't put any budget or any money into the property to develop the property because the area is actually owned by the Port Authority of Thailand.
Right.
And slum Khlong Toey started like 60, 70 years ago, right? Where it just started with a few families from other province. And then when they moved in and they work in Bangkok, right? They built like a small house or something, and they invited their friends and families to come, and it just started growing, right. Bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And the reason why we can't put any budget into developing the area is because that area is owned by the Port Authority of Thailand, and it's being invaded. So they live there illegally. And the Port Authority doesn't want to develop the area so that,
right.
Because they might have like future plans or something. But we can't really stand seeing people living in such conditions, you know what I mean?
Right. So something's got to be done.
Even if
it's not like a big long-term infrastructure project. Right?
Yeah. So so Friso and Greg, they went into the area and they saw like a lot of opportunities that we can help improve people's lives and stuff.
Yeah.
And there are like small kids and people of all ages and who needed help.
Yeah.
So we support them with the help.
A lot of people I think maybe are tangentially aware of this, but in Bangkok and maybe other areas of Thailand too, but especially in Bangkok, I think a lot of people, a lot of communities exist on land that doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the Crown Property Bureau, or it belongs to big state enterprises like the ports or the railways, and they don't really have any rights to it. They're to use a Western word, they're just kind of squatting long term. And I mean, right. Some of these people have been there for generations, and they know that at any time, maybe not any time, but within relatively short notice, that land can be ripped out from under them. Like, look at what happened to the park up by Ratchadamanan Road recently, right? Where that beautiful old teak houses in that community there, that slum community was there. And then they came along and redeveloped it into this brand new park that no one goes to, and it was a big issue. But that can happen to a lot of communities in Bangkok. And Khlong Toey is one of them. Now, I think a lot of people who live here, they know what Khlong Toey is. They know where it is, of course, down sort of on Rama 4. But they don't know sort of the history behind it or the details of it. It's kind of like, I don't know, like Madagascar or something. People kind of know where it is and what it is, but not a lot of people really know the details.
Yes.
So like you said, Kerv, like it started in the 1950s when a lot of people were moving from the countryside to the city, and Bangkok went through this massive period of growth and a population boom. And you said there's 140,000-ish people down there. That's a ton of people. And I've always taken a bit of an issue with the word slum because it doesn't really do it justice, I don't think. And the English word slum sort of just means like, I think it's sort of a negative word. It's got a sort of a negative connotation. But Khlong Toey is so much more than that. It's a community. So, Kerv, you're from that area.
Yep.
And talk about like who lives there. Like you said, a lot of the people that do a lot of the manual labor jobs, the security guards, the cooks, the chefs, the drivers, the Grab drivers, and things like that.
Yeah.
What is the community like there?
Like exactly what Greg said, Khlong Toey is the biggest slum community in Thailand. We have around 39 communities altogether. And one of the beauties with slum Khlong Toey is that each of the community, they're very well organized. So they have like their own community leaders who are like elected every
really?
2-3 years.
It's got like his own local government even.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so local government. And so these community leaders who get elected, they know like the households and stuff as well. So their job is to go visit like the families and stuff, and also they get paid by the they get like some money to develop their communities by the government as well. But the amount is not a lot. Like I said before, slum Khlong Toey consists of like people of all professions, like who contribute a lot of the workforce in
The people
in
that
Thailand.
actually keep Bangkok going.
Yes, basically. So now a lot are affected by COVID as well, and also there are a lot of in bed patients, like like who need support and help regularly. Like there are lots of kids, lots of old people, lots of also all sort of people that you can think of living in the area.
Right. What's the Thai word for it? In English we say the Khlong Toey slum, but in Thai
We actually call them slums too. But people who live there, they don't want, they like you said, slum has like some negative connotation to it. So they call it community instead, like Chumchon Khlong Toey. They like to call themselves Chumchon Khlong Toey. Like,
well, it is right. Like any
community.
Any place that's organized its own
Yeah.
sort of government is a chumchom. Yeah, definitely. Right. So, how talk about your staff? How many people help you out with this? Delivering food and organizing donations. There's a lot of back office stuff that needs to take place too, I imagine.
We have around 250 volunteers that not all of them are involved at one time, but we keep on growing day in, day out. But Kerv's mom is a big help as far as on the actual handout, because we have the cooking and then we do over 2,000 meals a day. And so they pick it up and then they take it to around 12 different community leaders. And then each one of those community leaders is similar to a mayor, but it's totally different than a mayor, say, in the West. They're really, really active. They know all the houses that are in that community, what's going on. And they're not sitting in an office. They're out there. And so they're hand delivering these meals to the houses that need it. And so he has a truck that picks up the meals twice a day, and they're going into the communities. And then every other day, we're going out with survival bags, which has rice in there and cooking oil, and also eggs. We give 30 eggs to each particular person. So our whole objective is to feed all of Khlong Toey. And we're almost there, as far as probably around 60-70% of Khlong Toey we've visited door by door, and we're continuing this process. It's been what day are we on? Day 73.
Yeah, I think it's 73 now. Yeah, that we've been going nonstop.
Right.
Yeah.
How big is Khlong Toey? Do you know, like in square?
It's 70 right?
I
think it's one.
It's actually more, but I don't know like the exact.
It's a weird stat to have on hand.
Understood always that it was 1 square kilometer in
Yeah.
size. I'm also not 100% sure. Yeah.
But as I said, there are like 39 communities, and there are around like 100,000 people living in the slum area.
Yeah. Are they all? When you say there's different communities, like are they all Thai, or is there some Chinese communities?
They're all Thais, but there are a few people who are like immigrant workers and stuff as well. There are like some Burmese, some from Laos and stuff as well living there.
Now, Kerv, you said your mom is in charge of the district, but what does that mean in what capacity?
No, she's basically an MP, but she of Watana and Khlong Toey district.
Okay.
But she has been in looking after Khlong Toey for over 10 years now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's cool. We were talking about earlier we were talking about the red tape that you come up against in Thailand. And I've said it on the show a million times. It's one of my favorite things I say is that like Thai bureaucrats, they need a minimum amount of red tape. They're like sharks in water. They need a minimum amount to survive. Otherwise they're not sure what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's frustrating sometimes when you're trying to do even regular stuff in Thailand. The first answer is oftentimes, ooh, cannot. But why? Tamai, ooh, it cannot. That's the only thing you
Something
get.
you meet
and it must be
often,
especially frustrating when you're trying to help people.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Were you just banging your head against a wall for a little while?
Definitely in the beginning, when we were like pioneering to go out there, right? I mean, when sort of COVID started, it was, not many people were doing that. So we were sort of, like I said, pioneering, like going, we were standing, next to the street, handing out boxes of food and all this kind of thing. So especially that time, the authorities were like, whoa, what are you guys doing? I mean, and even to the point where they were like, trying to work against it a little bit, because at that time it wasn't really clear, okay, what are the rules of being able to get people together. We have obviously in some cases over 1,000 people waiting in line. And of course, especially that time was like, oh, is that allowed or not? And, is this going to transmit COVID and all that stuff? So if you talk about sort of the collaboration that we have with Kerv and his mom, I think it's also really special when you talk sort of about the red tape, because in the end, it is a group of foreigners and a group of Thai people that love this country, that want to work hard to help the people through this difficult time, and that actually works together like the way we do, where it's day in, day out, so intensely. Everybody's working hard, where, it doesn't matter where everybody's from, and it's just this unity, right? Which, we've been here for a while, and that's not something you find easily, that, a collaboration on that level. Also, I mean, Kerv's mom is a member of parliament. So, I mean, it's also, it's not just something small, right? So I think it says also a lot about them that they are open-minded about that. And it's very special. I don't think you find that very easily, that there can be a collaboration like that. So we're very proud and very happy of that is like that. Because in the end, our mission is to help as much as we can, and they have that same mission. So that just fuses together and works out very well.
I think like one of the things that is very good, that the fact that we work together is the communication as well. How if they have problems or if they want to carry out something. So we communicate with the district department as well, and the police and stuff, and making sure that, okay, they're doing the right things in the right way with their like their initiatives of helping people and stuff, and also we kind of work together to maximize the efficiency of of their operation. We help them in order to help, as Friso said, as many people as possible. And it's not just because slum Khlong Toey is very big, it is our mission to help like people who are really in need. And I think my mom and I, we have like the connections. We know like all the community leaders of Watana and Khlong Toey, and those community leaders, they know their people very well. They know who needed help the most. They know who are jobless.
Like you said, they're out there every day, going door to door.
Yeah. That's their like full-time job basically, and they know like who have COVID, who are in quarantines right now. So we send help immediately. We have like my mom has like around 20-30 people like driving around to send like Bangkok Community Help health care bags to the people who are in quarantine and who can't even go out to get food. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're in quarantine. And if you haven't been to Khlong Toey or slum Khlong Toey, I'm gonna picture the condition of the houses and things a little bit. Basically, it's literally like a small room with like 10, 20 people sometimes living in that room together. So it's impossible. Let's say if one person who went to work and then got back home with COVID, right? It's impossible for them to like self-isolate themselves,
Right, yeah.
because they have to live with their kids, their nieces and nephews and stuff. So ended up everyone in that household got COVID because they live together in that whole house.
It's hard to get a visual too, but there's a very good video that I forget his name. He'd actually be an interesting guest on the show, but he has that YouTube channel, Retired Working for You.
Oh, Chris
Yes.
Parker.
Chris,
yeah.
that Canadian dude, right?
Yes.
He did a really good video on Retired Working for You on YouTube, where you get to see a lot of the little tiny soys and throgs
yeah.
and how people are living. So check that out too if you can.
Yeah.
But
He
it's
was with us recently. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good video. Yeah, and it shows some of the things that you guys are doing, putting in grates over open water and sewers and stuff like
correct,
that. And
yeah.
painting walls, just little stuff like that. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things, like, let's use yesterday morning, in fact, as an example. Contacted Kerv and I says, I understand the migrant worker camps are really having a huge problem right now.
Yeah.
And so we want to go out there. Now, let's say that I didn't have that phone call to Kerv. What do? I go on Google and I put construction camp. Nothing comes up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I tried now calling the district. Good luck with that, right? And finding the locations.
Yeah.
If I happen to run into one particular construction camp where someone said, "Hey, go to such and such thing," and the police, I go up to them. They're not going to be very helpful, right?
Right.
And so at the end of the day, we called. I think it was around 11 o'clock. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, we went to 4 construction camps.
Oh, cool.
With the care bags, and he made a video. Friso did, and it's incredible the people running and all that really needed help. And so
I think
all
I
of that was
saw that.
facilitated simply because of this relationship that we have.
It's funny, isn't it? Because a lot of foreigners, I think, when we think of like how things work like that, it's almost like, well, that's not. It's corruption's the wrong word, but we think like, well, it shouldn't work like that. That's not how official. There's no paper trail. That's not how things are supposed to work. But in Thailand, that's how things work. There's like I said, there's a lot of red tape to cut through, and it's the personal connections play a much greater role in the day-to-day lives of regular people than they do for Western countries, I think. So it's always awesome to have someone who can get shit done.
Right. So Kerv is our Google. If I want something up, I just call him and say, "This is what we want to do."
It's like eyes and ears everywhere and all this community.
That would explain the electrical plug in your neck. So as we're wrapping up here, let's talk about the future of your organization and then the future of Khlong Toey. So what's your plan? Do you is it just sort of continue doing it until you can't anymore, or do you guys have a long-term plan for this?
Well, we really enjoyed last year. It's so much satisfaction turning a garbage dump that 300 kids walk by after school, and it was really bad for the environment, bad for the kids, and then turn it into a place that they actually can play. And so we have a lot of visions along this line that we want to hire some of the people that are out of work, because there's a big stigma that if you're in Khlong Toey that you must have COVID. And so a lot of employers don't. So we want to put some of the people back to work, and then we're going to be painting the parks and stuff like that we were doing before, and other projects that we have lined up. We have a house of 21 kids that is in big despair. When it rains, they have to leave the house because it floods. It's that bad. And so we want to build that, a 2-story house. We already have the funding for that. We want to go back to the schooling of the kids. So we have a lot of things in the works.
Yeah.
Hopefully COVID cooperates here in the next 3 or 4 months,
The vision is long-term solutions, long-term projects, of course. what we're doing now is very hand to mouth, which obviously is needed, but in the long term, that will not change anything, right? But now it's so important that we're on the ground every single day to be there, because so many people depend on us. Now, new restrictions are here again. We're trying to go through the weaves and the maze of the law to still be able to go there. We're shrinking down the amount of people that go there, because we really can't stop. That's just the thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens. We've been going through multiple lockdowns. We really feel the moment we stop, a lot of people will fall in even more despair that they already are now. And we just can't afford that to happen. So we will, for now, keep going as long as we possibly can. And obviously, support is needed for that. So I mean, that's obviously
in the long term.
Huge thing.
Yeah, in the long term, what is going to get the people out of the slums is education, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help them today as far as when they're hungry, right? So,
Right.
That's our long-term vision, is actually education to help them.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to end things on a bummer here, but talking about the future of the community. I mean, I remember years ago, I wrote a story for Big Chili on a community down on the river on Jaron Krung Road. That was, they all had, people had been living there for 100 years. And there was an old man told me a story about how he used to ride water buffalo along Jaron Krung Road in the rice fields, and they lived in these beautiful old houses with original tile work and stuff like that. But, they were on temple land, and the temple wanted to sell that land, and no amount of appealing to the fine arts department or the historical or whatever. I mean, it was demolished and they were kicked out. And then we talk about the park up by Ratchadamnon Road and other areas like that. It seems to me that you just cannot stop the march of progress in Bangkok, and there's very little you can do to save spaces like this that are owned by giant faceless corporations. Not Thailand. It's not only Thailand. I mean, it happens like this in a lot of countries around the world, but what's the future of the community? Is there a plan in place to get those people out of there, or to migrate them somewhere else, or what?
There are actually plans to move them or build proper buildings or condos for them. But as far as I'm concerned, that project is not starting anytime soon, because, as I said, like Khlong Toey is the biggest slum in Thailand. And it's very hard to get. At the moment, they're doing research with Mahidol University to get opinions and stuff from people in the community to see if they want to move and things. And just to add to your previous questions, I wanna tell you a story. Basically, what made me started helping Khlong Toey and the community was when I went to visit a nursery school about 5-10 years ago, and I met the school's principal, and she said that, okay, Kun Kerv, today I went to pick up a girl who was in K2. She hasn't gone to school for a couple of days now because her parents were addicted to drugs, and they were partying into mornings and stuff, and she was in K2 only. That was when I know the living conditions of the kids and so I wanted to help improve the community. There, as Greg and Friso said before, there are so many aspects in the slum Khlong Toey that we can help and improve people's lives. Very, very little helps, even painting the walls.
Right.
It brightens tons of millions of people who walk past already. And for those of you who haven't been to slum Khlong Toey or haven't visited slum, or you guys don't know what it looks like, I really encourage you guys to visit or contact Bangkok Community Help and just spend half a day or a couple of hours with them. Go to the slum area, and you will see that there are so many things that you can do to help, and how privileged you guys are, or how privileged we are to have all the things that we have today.
Yeah.
So if we share very little, a small amount of money or time to help people in Khlong Toey, you will see a lot of smiley faces from the kids, from the elderly people and stuff. It's something that you can't really explain.
It's a huge difference from going here to Khlong Toey to see the smiles. It's almost like old Thailand, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
The
It's
real
really,
Thailand,
really
you
family.
could say. Yeah.
We talked about this on a recent show we did a couple weeks back about things that we've learned in our years in Thailand. And one of my things was that it made you really realize once you get out and start exploring these communities and get outside of the little farang bubble that we
Yes.
can live in.
Yes.
You know, it makes you realize that there are a lot of people in the world that would give everything they own to have my worst day.
Yeah.
You know, and it really puts it into perspective. So, you know, it's easy to sit on the SkyTrain and go to your air-conditioned Starbucks and, you know, things like that.
Exactly.
Live
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
easily.
yeah.
But, you know, I ride my bike a lot with my buddies out in Bangkok, and we go out into the suburbs of these communities, and you really see what real Thailand and real Bangkok looks like.
Definitely, yeah. And it's not far away in most cases.
Yeah, it's on
I mean, you know,
Ramapur
I mean,
Road, right across the
it's-
street from the brand new, what's it called, Med Park building? or
Exactly.
whatever?
Yeah. That's the thing. And I mean, also Sukhumvit 24, Sukhumvit 16. So yeah, but in general, we do advise everybody either go with us, of course, or, you know, take a step in. I mean, of course, it's COVID now.
Yeah.
Go and meet the people, say hello. I mean, they're lovely. They're happy to see you. You know, buy their products, these kind of things. I mean,
Cool.
it's worthwhile.
Well, I'll tell you what. Me and Ed, and on behalf of the podcast, we're going to give you guys 10,000 baht.
Wow, fantastic.
Thank you.
I encourage our listeners to do the same if they can, whatever amount it is.
Awesome.
Where can they do that?
So they can check out all the information on bangkokcommunityhelp.com. They can find us on Facebook. That's BKK Community Help. There is Twitter, which is also BKK Community Help. We have Instagram.
Who's the guy that does your social media?
That's Kevin.
Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
Kevin the
You wanna-
legend.
Shout out to Kevin.
Awesome.
If you want to know the Bangkok
The bank details,
account, it's
right, yeah.
Bangkok Bank 105-506-2879.
All right, cool.
The Bangkok Community Help Foundation.
All right, so everyone, if you can, it'd be great. It goes to a good cause. Help these people, especially right now. It's very important.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
But our listeners are generous folks, and I'm sure some will step up and help you out. So thanks, guys, for coming on the show and doing what you do. It's very important work, and hopefully you can keep going for a long time and inspire others to do the same stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Stay
Thanks
safe.
a lot. Take care. Yeah,
Take
you
care
too.
now.
Thanks for having us.
เท่าไหร่วันนี้8วันนี้70ค่ะวันนี้40ค่ะตอนเล็กเนาะ
All right, Greg. I enjoyed that interview a lot. Those guys certainly seem like cool, good-hearted guys. I have done some, in my defense, I've done some charity work, but considering I've been here 20 years, I got to say I really haven't done that much.
Yeah, same with me, man. I used to volunteer with an HIV orphanage, Pai Thai Babies Home back in the day. But yeah, 20 years, you know, and you realize when you see guys like Friso and Greg and Kerv, what they're doing. And
People who are doing stuff every week, or they're giving up their Saturday, even if you're just giving up your Saturday mornings and whatever, teaching English in Khlong Toey, whatever it is. I know that's not their thing, but whatever you're doing, if you just give up a Saturday morning every week, that's insane.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
so these guys are just, you know, exemplars of this, how much generosity some people have to give to their communities. And yeah, I mean, it's extremely admirable. But at the same time, you're looking at them like, man, I should probably get off my ass to do something.
The other thing is I loved the discussion of Khlong Toey itself and how the word slum is just not really quite the right word, because it's just not like the importance of Khlong Toey is just very different than how we think of the word slum in the U.S. You know, as you pointed out in the interview, you know, Bangkok just relies on so many people who live there.
Yeah, it is an interesting difference, isn't it? Because in Western countries, if a place is labeled as a slum, it's generally not some place that anyone really relies on, but it's not like that.
That's right.
In Bangkok, I mean, the whole city relies on Khlong Toey and other communities like it to do a lot of the work that keeps the city going, especially right now when, you know, things are really crappy. So
Right.
Yeah, it's a really, really unique community, and these guys, Friso, Greg, Kerv, and their team are doing some fantastic work, and they've been getting some good press lately, some cool videos and lots of stuff written up about them. So we're happy to help and spread the word. And yeah, as you heard, we donated 10,000 baht to them. So we urge our listeners,
sure.
if you can, please go to their website and find out where to donate. It's easy to see. And yeah, help the people in Khlong Toey because they help us, and that's just the bottom line. And actually, a little trivia note too about Greg, who was on one of the interviewees here. He actually has a connection to the Bangkok podcast because he is the owner of Sunrise Tacos, which is sort of a famous Mexican place that's been around for a long, long time. And Tony Joe, the season 1 co-host of the Bangkok podcast, he sort of knew Greg, and Greg offered a back room in his office as a location for me and Tony to record the very first episode of the Bangkok podcast way back in 2010 when we had no spot to record and didn't know what we were doing. So it's funny that it sort of comes full circle like that. So yeah, cool.
For sure. Great guys.
Yeah. Thanks guys for sitting down, and it was a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully we'll be able to meet up soon. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of life in Bangkok, which we then discuss and decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as just something that we have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. Last time, Ed asked me how I felt about wearing undershirts under dress shirts to avoid the dreaded tropical pit stains. So this week it's my turn. So
go for it.
I've got another shirt-related thing.
Oh, wow.
I think I asked Evo this way back in like season 2, but I'm not sure we've discussed it. What do you think when you're walking down a soy, just chilling out, and you come around a corner and there's 2 or 3 Thai dudes standing there, and one or all of them has their shirt pulled up over their belly, just to underneath their man boobs? What do you think of that look?
This is a good question, because I think in general, Thai people are more, again, these are radical generalizations, but I feel in general Thai people are more concerned about their appearance, and I think in general they're just kind of cleaner and look better than Westerners, like on average. That's how I think.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
And it's not that common, but occasionally you do just see random Thai guys with no shirt on for no apparent reason, or like you said, their shirt is just pulled up over their belly.
Right.
And I feel that I grew up in middle-class America suburbs. Not super nice, but obviously not slums. It's just middle-class, straight, row after row of houses. But dudes walked around without shirts on. Dudes were cutting grass. Dudes were playing basketball. You got dudes with T-shirts hanging out of their jeans. And
right, yeah.
Like the idea of someone without a shirt on would not be a big deal. I mean, obviously context matters, but like, so I grew up, it's just, whatever. If it's in the summertime, sometimes people don't have the shirt on. It's no big deal.
Right.
So it obviously I can't. It certainly doesn't bother me. Like it doesn't bother me. But I do notice, and I'm like, because I think other Thai people, I'm guessing, are bothered by it. I think other Thai people would be like, oh, that's not reappropriate. That's not appropriate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go live with on this, because I think it looks silly and goofy. And I'm like, if you're gonna take your shirt off, take your shirt off. Don't like pull it up over your belly.
the pull up.
But at the same time, I'm super jealous, man, because I kind of want to do it. I think it might be really comfortable to just let it all hang out, but no one wants to see that. So
that's right. Yeah. It's not it's funny. Yeah. So when it comes to that specific thing, I would go live with as well. But it's funny because I think a lot of other Thai people would kind of, it's kind of inappropriate. That's not a cool thing in Thai culture. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hot it is. It's not in public. You're not supposed to pull your shirt up like that. So I think it's not reappropriate.
It's not reappropriate.
It's not appropriate. But yeah, as an American, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
All right.
I can roll with it. So I'm certainly not going to go love, but I'll go live with.
Live with from me too.
All right. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we'd like to say thank you to Jason Chua for lending us his support at the show's shout-out level. Greg, what did you find out about Jason?
Well, our buddy Jason, his wife, and their new baby will be moving to Thailand any week now, actually at the end of July, I think he said. He's bringing a 4-month-old, 2 cats as carry-on, and 2 bikes, and hopes to settle in Chiang Mai, which is a nice place. Maybe he can start the Chiang Mai podcast.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
So me and Jason got to talking a little bit, and turns out we have some things in common. We both like riding bikes, and we both like eating burritos.
Whoa.
So I'm like, all right, this guy sounds like a sort of a soulmate, sort of a heterosexual life partner theory. Maybe we can get together and go on some bike rides or something like that. So Jason started following me on Strava, and when I do my bike rides, I track them with the Strava app. So I clicked over to his Strava thing, And check this out, Ed. I'm going to tell you this is why I think that maybe me and Jason are not going to be hanging out on bike rides too often. So in 2021, so far, I have ridden 423.8 kilometers.
Damn.
Jason has ridden 2,767.9 kilometers.
Well, you can join him on 1/4 of his ride.
My elevation gain so far this year in total has been 1,443 meters. His elevation gain so far this year has been 19,173 meters.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
I have spent 30 hours and 7 minutes on rides. He has spent 129 hours and 10 minutes on rides. So I'm not sure we're in the same class here in terms of riding. So obviously I'm not going to be hanging out with him on any long bike rides. He's going to leave me in his dust. But maybe I can convince him to ditch the bike and come and sit with me and have maybe way too many burritos or something like that. So
that's right. So you got to really push the burrito angle. I think that's your side. That's your side of the equation.
Yeah. So I think if we hang out, it might be the battle of the wills. So Jason's going to be like, come on, just another 10 kilometers. And I'm going to be like, come on, just another half a burrito. You can do it. So it's either going to result in me getting super fit or him getting super fat. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
But thanks for the support, man. We really appreciate it. And we hope your trip over here is smooth. And we look forward to meeting IRL.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you, Jason. All right. A final thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping support the show. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
Totes my goats. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube and I think on Facebook soon too. No, Facebook rolled out the new podcast thing, but I haven't looked into it yet. But you can send us a voicemail online that we can feature on the show, or even reach out to me directly on Twitter or Instagram, where I am BKK Greg. So thanks for listening, everyone. Stay safe out there in the big bad world. We'll see you back here next week.
No doubt.
Boom, baby. Now he says easy peasy.
Easy peasy. That's great.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And the only thing I can do is I'm playing with him and I'm just quoting back that line that Brooks says from The Shawshank Redemption. Easy peasy Japanesey.
Oh, really?
Which is probably
moderately
not
racist.
Great
it's moderately racist.
I just stick to easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Oh, that's great. That's great.